All right, man. What the hell episode are we on? 82, 83, something like that. Episode, this is the Fan Film Podcast, episode 82, 83, one of those things. And, of course, I've got my, this is Christopher Mosier, and I have my co-host there, Jeffrey Clark, with me. Jeff, wave to the audience, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm waving. Que paso?
And we got a couple guests today. We're going to start out with Philip David Lee. He's so cool. He's got 3 names, and he's director/writer, and he's done a lot of screenplays and some independent films. So we'll talk. Can I say independent film? A lot of independent people don't like me to say that.
Well, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Well, if you're an independent film person and you don't like the term independent film,
yeah,
you're kind of an idiot. So
right, exactly. It's like small press for comic books. I know you dabbled in that too, and some comic people don't like to hear that either. But that's what it is, dude. You go out and you're doing like an on-demand printing and doing all your own shit, and you're small press.
Exactly. I mean, be what you are, and be proud of it.
Yeah, exactly. And we do have a mystery guest. I was hoping Steve gets on because it does involve Jeff and Mike, who's our other sometimes co-host, and we'll get to that if he even chimes in. So we'll worry about that when he chimes in. And I told him not to get in here until like 30 minutes, 45 minutes after the hour, so we had plenty of time with Phil. Yeah. All right, Phil, man. I'm gonna put you in the spotlight and get us into how you got into this crazy world. And you're a writer. Is it just specifically screenwriting that you particularly concentrate on, or story, novels or blogging or any other that shit? Whatever got you into that.
Whatever gets me into hell and trouble.
Right.
No, it's mostly just screenwriting. I actually started out, self-publishing my own comic book, and that was back in like 1998. And then I decided to make a screenplay about it, but I made it too dark, and then since then it's just been a road to hell. So
yeah, the Ghetto Blasters, that was it.
Yeah, Ghetto Blasters.
What got you into the comics? Were you a comic fan to begin with?
Oh, yeah. When I was 8 years old, I was getting my tonsils out, and those were the days when you stayed in the hospital for like 3 days. So my mom bought me a bunch of comics. Back then, the cover price was 15 cents.
Right.
So she bought a lot.
Close to it, yeah.
And I just loved it. I just loved the pictures and the stories, and, it was exciting. So I was collecting them for a long time, and then, the cover price got too high.
Yeah,
it started hitting $2.99, and
yeah,
I think they're $3.99 now.
I'm not even sure.
And when you think your target audience, their age starts at 13, and you're charging $4 for a comic book, which is basically the same page count as it was back in the early 70s, you're kind of pricing half of your target audience. You're kind of pricing out your target audience.
Yeah, right, exactly. What were you saying?
Especially when I was just going to say, especially when, like you said, the kids don't have that kind of money, and it's one of those where there are so many other forms of media and entertainment available now that you really, if you pass that price point, you're not going to hook kids on comics like we were when we were kids. There were lots of options for us, so I didn't know. Did you have any particular titles that you liked that kind of influenced your writing or anything like that?
No. I just I was always a Marvel kid, but I did like some DC comics, so I would get like Justice League because it had everybody in it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I always liked Marvel. John Romita was my favorite artist back in the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Steranko was one, but he didn't work as much as Romita did. But Romita was so clean when he drew. I just loved his style. Will you go sit down?
I saw Steranko last weekend. Yeah, I saw Steranko last weekend at Niagara Falls Comic Con. He was up there. It was a lot of bigwig, artists and comic authors and things of that nature. That I liked comics as a kid, but I didn't like. Chris he'd buy two copies, one to bag and board and one to read, whereas I would read them, but I didn't collect titles regularly. So.
My mom went to this tag sale, and she bought me this comic book rack. It was one of these rotating ones, and it had 20 pockets on each side and 5 sides, and it was amazing. So I just had everything in a comic book rack in my room.
Oh, very cool.
Just to go back a little bit, I think as far as you're talking the cover price, $2.99, $3.99 or such, I think kids are sophisticated enough today, too, if they really want to get into comics. There's a way to get them without, paying the cover price as long as they use, their digital media. Like I knew a person, it wasn't me, who downloaded, it was me, who downloaded the entire run of The Uncanny X-Men, online, so I could read the whole series. I never went back and read the whole series. I just can say I have them all, but I think kids are sophisticated enough now to not have to necessarily pick them up. Don't necessarily need anything tangible in their hand. They'll just read them on their devices.
Yeah, kids are sophisticated these days, and they eat Tide Pods. Yeah, okay.
Right, and snort condoms. But they are pretty savvy technologically. I'll say my 5-year-old knows how to use his tablet and my smartphone better than I do.
Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, I see magazines all the time, iPhone guides for seniors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know I'm 47 and I can't. I've grown up with a lot of this technology, but it's like, man, these kids today will never know 8 tracks and cassettes, and they don't even know what a record album is. Well, they do actually; those are coming back. But
yeah, exactly.
It's like MP3. We had to carry boxes of records or comic books or movies to the friend's house. Now you just stick 10,000 songs in your pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't advanced that far.
Me either.
Well, I'm still a starving artist, so a lot of things I haven't upgraded. So
you did the Ghetto Blasters
project you working on?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
man. I mean, it's going to be 3 of us, maybe 4, maybe 5. We're going to talk over each other, but go ahead, man.
I was just wondering what type of projects you have going on right now. What anything you're in the middle of that you want to talk about?
Well, I don't know how much detail I can give, but I had a friend who is a director, and he likes my writing. So we've worked on a couple of projects together, and his boss, I guess you could call him, likes my work too. So he connected me with another screenwriter who had a 110-page script that I felt needed a little bit more polishing and upgrading on certain plot points. So I'm working on that right now. I'm about halfway through it, and I hope to get it done by June 21st so he can go and present it to this other guy and see if they'll finance the film.
Very good. What's this Beverly Hill Bandits thing there? Eric Roberts? Is that you? Sometimes IMDb is totally wrong, so if this isn't your project, let me know. If it is, obviously, talk about that.
Well, that was one of the projects.
It was okay.
That I worked on a screenplay. They wanted to do kind of a African American version of Home Alone.
Okay.
So as a joke, I said, well, we could call it Homie Alone, and they liked it.
I like that.
And we went with it, but then when someone did the artwork for it, they did it so similar to Home Alone that whoever was in charge of Home Alone, Paramount or whatever company, actually contacted them with a cease and desist order. So they changed the name to Beverly Hill Bandits.
Gotcha. But wouldn't it be like a parody then? I mean, wouldn't you be covered under that or not necessarily? It's not necessarily a parody.
Dude, I didn't get involved in the legalities of it.
I gotcha. Yeah. I mean, Mad Magazine does it all the time. So.
I mean, but the font they used was almost similar, and you know, had they done it in a I don't know, kind of like a graffiti style font or something like that, they might have got away with it.
Yeah.
But it was just too similar, and I can understand the studio's perspective on that. So
yeah, they're going to protect their copyrights and their intellectual properties, I guess.
Oh yeah. But it was a low budget film, so I don't know why they would feel threatened.
Right.
I know why. They probably could have got Macaulay Culkin to star in it.
So you put him in blackface or something?
Nah, I'm just kidding, of course. But
those are the folks I'm involved with now, and I'm trying to make this new script something that has a nice rewatchability factor. You know, everything that we're working with now is kind of in the ultra low budget range.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, and when you're doing ultra low budget films, it doesn't really matter who's in it as far as, you know, oh, we need an A-list actor and stuff like that. You just need competent people behind the camera. You need fantastic cinematography. You need great sound. And you need a director that has, you know, an eye for the image. Some directors, you know, some directors think that it's just, oh well, you know, setting up. See, a director's kind of like the head coach of a football team. You got to get the right players, and you got to put them in the right spot, and you have to come up with a strategy, and you have to execute it. But you also have to be like a photographer. You have to have an artistic eye, because you can point a camera at two people and shoot it. But if the angle is just off, or the framing is just off a little bit, you can turn what could have been a nice cinematic picture into just an amateur shot.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not lit properly, and you know, you see someone making bunny shadows behind the actors, it doesn't have that right feel. And of course, your actors have to be competent, but there are so many people out there that are good actors. I have a lot of friends on LinkedIn and Facebook that are, you know, good actors. And some of the female actresses I know are they're beautiful and they're talented, but they don't have a big name. So, you know, if you put them in the right vehicle, you don't need Scarlett Johansson. You don't need, you know, all these people out there. You just need competent players, and you need competent people behind the camera to pull it off. Yeah.
And I think that's a big issue with my issue anyways, and I'm sure with a lot of people. I mean, I don't necessarily need to be big actors in these movies. You know, have a good story, and, you know, they're all, you know, clamoring to get whoever's the big, you know, person of the week or person of the year or whatever to be in their films. And I don't think, as far as a film goer as myself, I don't need that shit. Just do a good story, Hollywood, and you seem to be getting away from that, and that's why people don't go to the theater. I mean, among other reasons, but I think that's, you know, a big chunk of it.
Well, there's a lot of reasons. I mean, you know, first of all, you have the cost of a ticket, okay, which can range from anywhere between, like, say, $7.50 in small town communities up to $15, $17 in major cities.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the price of refreshments. So let's say you want to take a date to the movies, and that's, you know, it's a $50 investment right there.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that a movie will come out on DVD, before you had to wait 6 months to a year before it came out on VHS. Now it comes out within 4 months. Yeah. So, and life goes by so fast, you can actually wait for the movie to come out on DVD, but because you have your 70-inch screen TV in your living room, you sit close enough, you're at the theater. And you can pause it for bathroom breaks.
Exactly.
Right.
So
no one kicking your chair, no one talking, coughing.
Yeah, really. I mean, you don't even have to shower or anything.
Nice.
So, look for parking. So that's one of the reasons why. I mean, if you drop the ticket prices down, you can get more people into the theater. But, again, it all depends on the project. Let's say you have this in your mind, a great screenplay. And I was talking to this one guy in New Orleans, and he has, I got this great screenplay and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, what genre is it? And he says, it's a drama. And I said, well, you got to be careful because, statistically, dramas are a tough sell, especially if you want to try and get it into some sort of theatrical release. Mm-hmm. And I said, dramas are typically third or fourth in the market shares for genre. And but it's like a 5-to-1 ratio of dramas coming out to the top two, which are action and adventure, and say the fourth one, which is usually comedy. So you can have, 50, 67 films come out in action and adventure, 43 films come out in comedy, and yet 251 films come out as a drama, and they're only capturing the third spot in the market shares. Mm-hmm. So, again, it's a tough sell. And he's like, well, I don't care about the numbers. And I'm like, what? So let me tell you something. If anyone ever says to you, I don't care about the numbers, walk away from them as fast as possible. Mm-hmm. Because the film industry is a very unique industry. It has to be the perfect balance between art and finance. If you're a painter, okay, you buy your canvas, you buy your paints, and then you sit by yourself in a room and paint. Okay? When you make a film, photographer is the same way. You have a model, you have a subject, whatever, but you're still basically yourself. Your equipment's a little bit more expensive than a painter, but you're still on your own. When you're making a film, you got a ton of people working for you. And I don't mean 13.2 people.
Yeah.
Okay?
Hundreds
there
of
are a lot. You got your sound crew, your camera crew, directors, assistant directors, people that deal with travel, people that deal with insurance, payroll people, actors,
producers, editors,
everything. And it's a big financial investment. And what you want to do is you want to make a film that has what I call a rewatchability factor, so that people will see it, maybe see it again, and hopefully own it, or at least download it legally. Mm-hmm. Because investors don't want it I just do it for the art. I don't care if I lose money. I've never heard anyone on Shark Tank say that.
Well, to piggyback off of what Chris was saying, how you mentioned that it is a money game, and I think that's why Hollywood is so kind of wrapped up in churning out these prepackaged rehashes of 70s and 80s TV shows, whereas the independent writers and filmmakers are the ones coming out with all the new and interesting material. I don't know if you want to speak on that. It's I find that the people like yourself that are putting out new and interesting ideas rather than just the same old rehashes, and it's maybe because it's not as tried and true as some of the stuff Hollywood puts out, that's why it's maybe harder to get a foot in the door.
Well, again, you have to go by track record. Now, I don't have a great track record, okay? I've directed one film, and that was in 2006. I directed it for about $2,200, but it wasn't one of these. If you hear some whimpering in the background, that's my dog. She's in heat.
Aww.
And she's
give her some action,
Eloise. calm down, or Daddy's going to drug you. Anyway. No,
tequila in her elbow.
My dog, okay? Anyway, but it wasn't one of these 5 actors, 1 location films. I mean, I had over 14 actors, over 20 locations, and it was very much guerrilla shooting. The problem was, there wasn't, it wasn't the best quality, but we did the best we could, and I'm very proud of the effort that everyone involved in put forth. So, and I'm confident that if I have a budget where I don't have to be the director and the location manager and the fight coordinator and the caterer, and I can concentrate on my craft, I could do a fantastic job. And since then, I've been doing, freelance work and trying to create projects that would get investors interested in the project. I think I read somewhere that when you have a project, you can't just be a screenwriter anymore. You have to have everything planned. You can't just say, "Oh, I got the screenplay and here, I want you to produce it." Because, a producer doesn't get paid until the budget's in either. So that means you give him a screenplay, he has to break it down, he has to do the financials on it so he can make it an attractive package for investors. You come to a producer with all that already in place, you make yourself a little bit more attractive commodity. So, that's what I try and do. I try and come up with stories that I think will be entertaining for me, because you can't sit there. I was talking to this one guy. He was a quote-unquote producer, and he said, "Oh, I know what audience is like." Now, if you run into a person that says, "I know what audience is like," run away from them as fast as possible. Because, what are you, the great Kreskin? No, you don't know what audience is like. You can try and be entertaining, but, audiences are made up of people. And, everybody's different. Nobody is the same. You just got to find a fan base and support that fan base and hope that it's a big enough fan base to support you in future endeavors. So this is why I get mad when people say, "I don't care about the numbers, I just care about the art." Because that tells me right there, you don't care about your investors, you don't care about your audience, and you're just kind of a moron.
Yeah.
Because it's an entertainment.
Strike a balance.
Yeah, it's an entertainment industry. If you're not entertaining anybody, you shouldn't be in the industry.
And that's a good thing to bring up, too, and it is a point that I did write in my notes here. Because, as you know, Phil, I write, actually, I don't know if you knew or not, Jeff, Phil and I actually co-wrote a script called Morgana X a few years ago.
I remember. I remember Morgana X. Yeah.
So anyways, which Phil tried to sell it, and went nowhere. He can, if he wants to elaborate on that later, that's fine. But I guess my point is, when I sit down to write, I don't. Maybe it's the wrong way to think of it. And Phil, I think you think this way too. I'm sitting down and writing for an audience. Maybe I should be sitting down and writing for myself. But I don't really write that much anymore because I've tried so hard to get stuff out there. I've come so close to get ideas out there. I've written for a show here in Rochester that was supposed to go on Netflix or Hulu, and that never went to fruition. So maybe I think of it the wrong way. I should be sitting down and writing for myself instead of other people. But I find myself sitting down and writing for other people, and if no one's going to read it based on my past experiences, then it's just there's nothing in me that drives me to continue to do so.
Well, it's tough to find motivation. It all depends on how passionate you are about the story. But again, remember, you're normal, everyday people, okay? They have a job they probably hate. So when they go to the movies, they're going to spend, like I said, around $50 and they just want to kind of disappear for an hour and a half, 2 hours. And when they come out of the theater, you want them to just have this feeling that their money was well spent. It's called marginal utility. And so, you know, if you're not entertaining anybody, it's just, I'm sorry, I just got a note here.
It's okay. Are you getting your notes now?
Yeah, I'm getting notes.
Okay.
So, I mean, recently we did an independent film. And we're in post right now, trying to get it out. It was directed by Dorian Louis. She's a real close friend of mine.
Okay.
And, you know, she financed it herself and put it together and directed it and wrote it. And she's very talented. She's a actress, singer, songwriter, chef. And so right now we're on the final stages of post. But it's been, you know, you run into complications. So we're trying to get that finished and get that out.
Gotcha.
And,
are you trying to read and talk at the same time? You can read.
No, I was just distracted again. Eloise,
okay.
She's driving me crazy.
All right.
Now I'm just trying. I was like Amtrak, you know. I was heading to New York, and next thing I know, I'm in a field in Indiana somewhere. So yeah, we're doing that, and we're trying to get that out. And you know, the independent film process can be full of bumps and sinkholes and everything else. That just tear you up. But getting back to what Chris was saying about writing, you have to. All right, let's say you have a story that you think is really good, okay? You have to remember that anybody reading your story doesn't have the same passion invested into it. So they might not pick up on it as quickly as you would like them to. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You got to hook them with something, really.
Well, yeah, if it's your baby, I mean, of course you're going to coddle it and take care of it, you know. And if it's someone else's baby, I'm not going to care as much, you know. I get it.
Well, again, you have to put into the script something that makes them care. You may know something about the character that you didn't fully express in the script, so it gets lost on the reader. But you know why it's there. You just didn't develop it enough, and that's one of the problems that you have. And you got to just hope that you find someone with the same mindset that will back you up. So I mean, there's just so many. God, there's so many hurdles you have to. All right, let's say you have a project and you want to attach someone to it. All right. So your first step is to go on IMDb Pro and try and find their agent. So then you call their agent, but you only talk to their assistant, and you tell them, "Oh, I want to put your client in this project." And the first thing they'll ask you is if it's fully funded. And if you say no, then they're like, "Oh, well, then the point's moot. We're only interested in fully funded projects."
Mm-hmm.
But if you go to an investor, they want to know if you have distribution. And if you go to a distributor, they want to know who's in it.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay.
it's kind of like a vicious circle. And you can't get one without the other. And if they all, you can tell an investor, "Oh, I have this wish list." Okay? And you can put any name you want on it. But then you got to deal with the client themselves. Let's say you want to target this client, but they want creative control over the script. Well, I don't know what your credentials are as far as, creative control. If you demand changes that I don't agree with, boom, you run into this conflict. And you really don't need conflict when you're trying to plan a shooting schedule and, everything is budget precise, because that just causes delays, and delays are expensive. So, as an independent, you have a certain amount of freedom as long as you get the financing, but you have to balance your budget to what you can realistically shoot. And then you just have to execute it as precisely as possible with, a certain level of artistic eye, so that it is nice to look at, it works as a whole, and that people will be entertained and enjoy watching your film over and over again. Mm-hmm. So that's where the rewatchability factor comes in. So there's just so many pieces of the puzzle that have to fit perfectly. That's why it takes, when you hear about people, it took me 18 years to get this project off the ground, or, it took me 4 years to do this. And that's pretty much why. You just got to find the right pieces and then find the investor that has confidence in your script. If you're doing a drama, okay, with talented actors, but they're not high-profile actors, you got to make sure your budget is probably within, you're either going to do it guerrilla style, or your budget has to be within, say, $100K to maybe $500K maximum. All right, because that will give investors a higher level of confidence. If you do have an A-list actor, you have to accommodate hotels and travel and security and insurance and everything else, so that raises your budget. So you don't want to sit there and promise someone, we'll give your client $5 million to be in this picture, and then wind up having a budget of, 12 to 15 million, because, and I read this formula, I don't know if it's accurate, but they said a film has to make 373% of its original budget in order to break even. And that's if you go through the whole distribution process, and depending on what they spend on P&A, prints and advertising. Right. Again, a lot of factors go in. So you can't just be a screenwriter anymore. You have to be a business person, and you have to make sure that the proposal you create gives your investor the highest level of confidence for a return on investment.
Makes sense. Yeah, I never considered it that way. I always wanted to sit down and write and here, take it. But I understand what you're saying. I know it doesn't work that way, but it should. No.
I mean, I would think that at this point in time, the best writers with the highest level of investor confidence are kind of like Hallmark card writers. Yeah. They don't have to write that much. Yeah. And,
well, the good thing is, I mean, you got your Netflixes, your Hulus, your Crackles, your what am I missing? Amazon, and the 19 million other streaming services that are coming along that are looking for content, and so that gives a really good opportunity for your smaller films. At least, I mean, I have no aspirations to be out and be a millionaire. I'd certainly love to make a living, comfortable living, writing, and I'm sure so do you. So without those outlets, I mean, hopefully maybe that's that $200 million picture that they were going to make. Someone can make, I don't know, 50 movies out of that or something, and have 50 movies on set. I don't know if this is making any sense, but 50 movies on said streaming services, and give more opportunity for people such as you and I.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't understand how budgets get to be as big as they do.
Yeah.
And you look at the credits, and there's thousands of names on it, and you realize, yes, those people have to be paid, and so I haven't really hit that area yet. And someday I will, I'm sure. But right now, I'm trying to. I have this movie that I can shoot in 10 days, and it's got about a $60K budget to it. And it's hard to find investors for that. It's a comedy, so it's fourth in the genre market. Films similar to the nature of the content of this project have, grossed $1.3 million domestically. I don't know worldwide. So it seems like an easy deal. And I've bounced it off people before and said, I had this one friend who wanted to make a movie because he wanted to test a distribution model that he was working on. And I said, well, do this film. It's called Open Mic. I can shoot it in 10 days. You guys can edit in 3 months. And, in 4 months, you'll have a movie to put in your distribution model. But then he had other ideas. So he went with another idea. And it was a little bit more, I can't think of the word right now, which doesn't really bolster my confidence as a writer. But he went with a different project, and then 2 years later, the production ran into problems, and he was unable to finish the film. So you have to have a little bit of logic too in this industry, and some of the things that I've seen defy logic.
Mm-hmm.
And you wonder, well, why did you go in that direction, or,
Yeah.
So I just keep plugging away. It's like fishing. You just keep baiting the hook and throwing the line out there,
and hoping to catch something. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, something that you don't have to throw back.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff. I feel like I'm monopolizing the questions. So you got anything for Phil?
Oh, well, I was just going to say, I guess it just takes one time. Like you said, you got to keep baiting the hook, and you get out there, you get that perfect storm where the story and the acting and the budget and everything comes together, and then then you become known, and then I guess that you've made your bones, you've got some credibility, and that might kind of open the door for you. So.
Yeah, or what you can do, what you want to kind of do maybe is, let's say you take a short film and you shoot it for anywhere between 20 to 50K, and you're successful enough where it generates, say, 1.5 mil in total sales. If you've invested your own money into it, then you take some of that 1.5 mil and you make a bigger film. And that way you don't have to deal with investors, and you don't have to deal with perpetuity and all this other stuff. And then you just keep building on that until the point where you can finance your own, $16 million picture, $20 million picture, and keep going on and on.
Kind of like Kevin Smith did.
Yeah, pretty much. And then Kevin, I don't know, Kevin, he did Clerks, and it was very successful. But then you also got to be careful that your own ego doesn't shoot you down.
Yeah, sure.
Because sometimes when you have complete control, you also make some bad creative choices. And, if you're working by yourself and you make a bomb, that could really sidetrack you. And again, it's all about balance. So you just, like I said, you just got to be careful, and you just got to make sure that what you do is entertaining. And if you're a pretty entertaining person, even with, like, say, a group of friends, then you have a pretty good chance of keeping that. If you have a good sense of humor or something like that, that's something that you don't lose It's something that's always with you. It's kind of like, instinct. If you have a certain level of instinct, that's something that stays with you pretty much at the same level. It doesn't diminish. But
there you go, Jeff. You got to start writing, man.
Well, I've had enough people over the years because I like to tell jokes and stories. Oh, you're funny. You should do stand-up. I said, yeah, I've seen enough bad water cooler comedians try stand-up that it didn't work out. Because, I think you do have to have a certain talent for it too, and then realize your limitations. Like you said, don't let your ego outweigh your talent. And,
stand-up. Stand-up is a tough thing too. If you're doing, if you're doing 15, 10-minute sets at a comedy shop, you're all right. If you can't make people laugh in the 10, 15 minutes that you have, don't ever go back on stage again.
Right.
But once you get to that comedy concert thing where you're doing 70 minutes of material
on your own,
yeah, that's a performance. That's just not getting up there and telling jokes. That has to be timed. It has to be choreographed. It has to be well rehearsed. Because it's tough getting up there and talking for 70 minutes to people and making them laugh. And you figure you have to make them laugh every 20 to 30 seconds. So,
or you'll lose them quickly.
Yeah, that's a lot of jokes.
I guess it's similar to when you're writing or making a film, in that you have to keep, you have to be constantly advancing the story and keeping people hooked. Or if you lose interest, it's all over.
Yeah, I mean, I've read some scripts for people as a consultant, and they like the person I'm writing with now. His name's Mark, and he's very open to changes. And I pretty much changed the entire structure of what he originally gave me. But I've worked with clients before that just do not understand change. They don't understand progressions of logic, which I feel is very important in a screenplay. A case in point, okay, I had this one client who had this story about a female assassin. And it
You're not
started...
talking about Morgana,
Yeah. But this one started as her father was kind of pimping her out in a Fight Club scenario. And then she was kidnapped and brought to this assassination school where she was trained to become the world's greatest assassin. But then she left, got married, and to make a long story short, her husband was behind the murder of her parents and her brother. And so the story was that she finds out that her husband was behind the hit on her parents and her brother. Primarily it was the brother, but the parents got caught in the crossfire. And she wanted the main character to find this out while the husband was talking on the phone to someone in the next room. And I said, well, and then she was supposed to go to Europe. So she finds this out. She overhears her husband talking about this setup on the phone, and then she's so distraught she goes to Europe. And I'm like, but she's a trained assassin. If she heard that her husband was behind the murder of her parents and her brother, she would have grabbed a pencil and killed him right there. Mm-hmm. And so I rewrote the script so that she went to Europe after the murder of her family, and then while she was in Europe, she finds out information that her husband was in charge of this. And then she goes back and seeks her revenge, and she's like, no, she has to find out while she's in the house with her husband. And yet nothing changed. She still went to Europe after that. And I said, well, that doesn't make any sense. And I couldn't talk her out of it. And I just said, you know what, I'm probably not the right writer for you. And you got to know when to walk away. You don't have time to argue with brick walls, because in 100 years there'll still be brick walls.
Right. No compromise, you know.
Right. I mean, I had this other client that she was a producer. She had the script. She wanted me to help her write a business plan. The target budget was $6 million. I read the script. It was awful. I said, I can't write this business plan. And she said, why? You said you were going to help me. And I said, I know, but the script is so bad, I wouldn't feel right trying to convince investors to put $6 million into this because they'll lose their money. I said, I'll tell you what. I said, give me 30 days. Let me rewrite the script. And then we'll present it to the original writers and see what happens. So I basically took the first 30 pages, kept them kind of intact because they were pretty good, and then rewrote the last 60 pages in 5 days. Sent it back to her. She loved it. The original writers hated it. Okay? They couldn't give me any reason why they hated it, but they just hated it because it wasn't their work. Not because it was a better script or it would make more money or it was a better story and be more exciting, but it just wasn't their idea. So, you know, I walked away from that one too because, like I said, sometimes you just gotta walk away.
Hey, someone chimed in. Is this Mikey or is this Mr. X?
Mr. X.
Hey, Mr. X, how are you, man?
Good. How's it going?
It's going all right, man. Hey, if we could put you aside, Phil, just for a second, we're gonna get back with you, okay?
No,
okay.
Please.
All right, or you can chime. You can chime in anytime you want.
I'll go to the next spot on the couch.
Yes, you are correct, sir.
All right, man. I was kind of hoping Mikey would show up because this kind of involves both of you. Yeah, it's no one Phil would know, or I'd have him involved in this as well. But you know that game where you ask questions on someone maybe behind the screen or something, yes or no questions to find out who the person is, Jeff?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have you do that with Mr. X, and I'm gonna see if you can figure out who Mr. X is. Okay.
Okay. Let's go.
All right. Is that okay, Mr. X?
Oh yes. Go ahead.
Okay, just we'll start with yes or no questions, and then if it goes on too long, then we'll get into more specific questions.
It may take more specific questions. I'm sure.
Okay. All right, Jeff, man, you're on the spot, man. Ask him yes or no questions. See if you can figure it out.
Okay. Let's see. What kind of question do we have? Are you somebody I would know from the movie industry?
No.
Okay. Somebody I would recognize from the world of comic books or pop culture?
Yeah, pop culture, I would say.
Okay. Let's see. I don't know. Let's see. Somebody currently current projects I would know?
No. Unfortunately, no.
Okay, so somebody that I would know previous work though.
No, not even that.
Oh, I don't know.
All right, yeah. Let me throw this. Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, are you somebody I've met in person before?
Yes.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Chris.
No, that was a good question. I was going to just say that.
Question.
I was just going to say that. It's someone you've met before.
If I may add, I would think that I would say that Jeff's voice recognition skills need a little sharpening.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, the voice does sound familiar, but I'm old and my memory's terrible.
Oh yeah, and we all were drinking at that time.
There you go. That's a good one. That's a good hint. There's a little, there's a little. I mean, there's always beer involved, but there's a little beer.
Oh
involved.
Yes, and there was a lot of beer involved.
Yeah.
Well, let's see here. Was this in the last 10 years?
More than that.
All right, last 20
That's
years.
been, wow.
20, yeah. Something like 20 years.
All right,
Just keep in mind, Jeff, that I've met him face to face, and Skeeter's met him face.
And me. Okay, so
Yeah, all at the same time.
Is this somebody that we were at the 35th anniversary Star Trek convention in Vegas?
Yep, that's it.
Is it Fabian?
Yep, that's it. Oh, wow.
Hey, what's up, man?
Oh, wow.
Let's go home, brother. How you doing? Been a long, long time.
Good. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow, you got it.
I started thinking,
yeah.
I knew the voice was familiar, and then when we started, it was 15 to 20 years ago, and Mikey was there. Okay, so.
Oh, yeah, you got it.
How you been?
Good. How's it going, my friend?
Fantastic. You know, living the dream. Kind of.
Oh, yeah, we all are, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking it was the 30th. It was the 35th?
It was 35th, yeah, it was 2001.
2000.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
It was the weekend before September 11th. I remember you guys flew home on September 10th. And,
Yeah. Wow, amazing.
Towers, so.
Yeah. That's right. That we got back Sunday. Monday I went to work, and I couldn't go back home. Yep. I was in Jersey.
Yeah, I was in Los Angeles visiting my brother.
Oh, my God.
I drove there.
Hey, Phil, are you a Star Trek fan at also?
Oh, yeah, I love Star Trek.
Oh, okay, beautiful. Yeah, we went there. Hey, explain what it was, Jeff.
Well, it was the 35th anniversary convention, and we went to, coincidentally enough, stayed at the New York. At least me and Mike Skeeter did.
Yeah.
And, it was a great convention. And then, you guys all flew home Monday. I drove to Los Angeles to visit my brother, who, strangely enough, on our subject was, writer and trying to be an independent filmmaker, and that we were there when the attacks hit, and the rest is unfortunate history. But it was quite a weekend though beforehand.
Oh yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yes,
a lot of autographs and a lot of fun, a lot of drinking.
Yeah, in fact, I went to Niagara Falls Comic-Con last weekend, and I was thinking like some of the cons over the years that we've had, and that was one of the best ones, so that Vegas one.
Oh, yeah, and a coincidence today, we just verified for the New York Comic-Con today. Today, it started at 10 a.m. We waited on a queue for like an hour, and we got the 2 tickets.
Nice.
Becoming
I'd like
quite
to go to
the
that
event.
Sometime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's at John
It's getting harder and harder to get in. It's getting harder.
Yeah.
They make it more and more difficult.
Yeah, I was at the first one.
For me.
Is that still it's still Javits?
Yep,
Center,
that's it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The Javits Center. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I was at the first one they had there.
They take up the whole spot, and it's super crowded. Oh yes, me too. Yep.
Yeah.
When it was only like $25, now it's almost $55 to $60. It's insane.
Yeah,
and you can't walk through. The place is so crowded. It's insane.
Yeah, it looks it from the things I've seen online. So.
Oh yeah.
But
they say the best ones are San Diego, where you see everybody.
San Diego, New York.
Mm-hmm.
We've got one. Actually, there's one here in Rochester this weekend, but it is. Rochester's a smaller town, so you're going to get talented people. Don't get me wrong, but they're lesser known. They're not the. I think the big name was the old pro wrestler Jake the Snake Roberts.
Oh really? Oh wow. So
and as far as like celebrities, and then of course some very talented comic artists and writers. It's just because I'm not a comic book reader avidly, I'm not familiar with their work. It's not no knock against their talent. I'm just not familiar with it.
Yeah.
Whereas like last week, and some of the big names were there, Jim Steranko and those guys, people that are kind of legendary in the business. Or Rochester, we get people that are talented, just less heralded.
Yeah.
Fabian and Phil, if you want to chime in too, go ahead. Have you guys seen I don't even remember what the hell the new show is called. Have you guys checked out the new show at all?
Oh, the new Star Trek? Yeah, it's very good.
Oh,
very
good.
Okay. Very good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I got to say that they hit it out of the park. It's a very good show. It's on. Unfortunately, you have to pay like $10. Unfortunately, to get it. It's CBS All Access. I hate that they have to make you pay, but if you want to see good shows, and that Star Trek, I got to say they did a very good first season. And the girl from
it's dark, but I like
from
it.
The Walking Dead.
Yeah, she was Sasha on The Walking Dead.
Oh, that's right. Did she die on that show, I'm assuming?
Yeah, on The Walking Dead,
she died on
a couple
on The
seasons
Walking
ago.
Dead, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I guess they're going to kill off, what's his tits there, Rick Grimes.
Yeah, he wants to leave the show. He wants to leave the show.
Right.
I think he wants to do movies or something like that.
Maybe they won't kill him off, but yeah. Huh.
You watch that at all, Phil? Anything like that, The Walking Dead? Or?
No, I haven't seen the new Star Trek show, and I was a little wary of it because, the letters after it are STD, so it kind of scared me a little bit.
Star Trek Discovery, it's definitely dark. But,
It's definitely a different show. It's not like the last Star Trek Enterprise, which was a disaster.
Yeah.
Scott Bakula. Oh my God,
yeah.
that really.
Now, hey! I have all 4 seasons of Enterprise, and I was going to say
I liked it too, but not a lot of people did. But I enjoyed it. So.
I know it was a little too late at the end. Like they tried to make it better the last 2 seasons, but the beginning 2 was like too slow.
Yeah, I'm a big Scott Bakula fan since Quantum Leap, though. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I always enjoyed it, but and it was not as well received in the Star Trek fan community, but to each their own.
Well, I think one of the best 2-parters of Star Trek Enterprise was the explanation of the difference of the Kirk Klingons as opposed to what the Klingons look like in Next Generation and in the movies. Trying to make augment when they were trying to make augment Klingons, and I thought that was brilliant writing. I mean, that was.
They were trying to do what now? What was?
They were trying to make. All right, so Khan was an augmented human. Okay.
Yeah.
So they were trying to make augmented Klingons, and they were using human DNA to try and do that from the augments. And that's what erased the ridges from their forehead and made them look more human, and so that kind of fit into the original series looking Klingons, and I just thought that was a brilliant plot device that they.
Well, yeah, because it explains something, and it's becomes part of the lore of the that universe. So it was kind of cool.
And I believe they also did that on Deep Space Nine. Also, they tried to explain how they changed from the green ones that we saw in the '60s to the ones they had on the Martin movie, the Star Trek the Motion Picture. The ones we recognize now. I believe they also did that on Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, it's fun. I do like how they do the continuity through the series, and it's it doesn't always work that way. In fact, that was my one complaint with the new series, the Discovery. I didn't quite like. I liked the series, but the way the Klingons looked in it, I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess it's because
is true.
It's change from my traditional,
Exactly.
I don't like change. I'm I'm an old guy. I fear change.
That's the thing. Yeah, we got to go with the flow, like they say.
Yeah, I guess everything's got to move on. You got to make it more modern. So.
Oh yes, and the Klingons did modernize.
Yeah. What's his face? God damn it, I can't. His daughter hosts Face Off there. Does he still do the makeup on Trek or no? Do you know what the hell I'm talking about? You ever watch Face Off? Anybody?
No. Oh, wait, you talking about the movie with Travolta and Nicolas Cage?
No. Face Off's a TV show on the Sci-Fi Channel where.
Oh no, okay, no, I've not seen it.
Then the chick that hosts the show is I can't remember her damn name, but her father did the majority of the makeup on Deep Space Nine. I think Voyager and Next Generation. I can't think of the freaking name. I mean, he's only like really famous. Shit. Anyways. I was just wondering if he did the makeup on the new show or not.
Maybe.
Oh well. I'm sure she's flattered that you mentioned her in spirit.
Oh, what's her name?
Carol or Mary or June or
something like that.
I'm sure if you went down the book of names, sooner or later you would run into her name.
Yeah, exactly. She's a hot blonde, so I'll give her that.
You know what's sad that the Star Trek conventions are not as numerous as they used to be. Like the last one they held in New York was like a year ago, and I think that was because Leonard Nimoy had passed away, and I think they had his son there. And I went to that one, but it wasn't like the Star Trek conventions of yesteryear. It was very small.
Right.
The wares were very small, and the people that spoke, they had very few guests. It's like, wow, it's how this thing has died down. I'm glad I caught it when it was in its infancy, when it was big. And it was nice, and they had, Fedora, I think, is the one that used to hold, like, the best ones. Because you paid one big price, and you got everybody's autograph. It was, like, guaranteed. Mm-hmm. And that was good.
That's how it was when we used to go here in Rochester.
Dave Scott dude? Because Dave Scott did the one in
Yeah, that was Slanted Fedora.
It was Fedora.
Yep, Fedora.
Yeah, he went out of business.
Yeah, he fucked some people over, and then, he was gone.
Yeah, I think that 9/11 thing also had something to do with it. It's like it just destroyed the convention business. No one wanted to travel anywhere anymore.
Yeah, understandable, I guess. Now, Phil, what part of the country are you in?
Oh, I'm New York. I'm in Haverstraw, upstate New York. I'm in, I'm past the Tappan Zee Bridge. It's not that upstate, but it's Rockland County.
All right.
I moved from the city. I moved from the
Fabian,
Bronx. I moved to Rockland County. Huh?
That's Fabian's. That's where you are now?
Yes.
Okay, Phil, what part of the country are you in?
I am in Bangor, Maine.
Bangor, Maine. Okay, so you're on the East Coast.
No, we're all the East Coasters, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, I was just curious because
Stephen King country.
Usually you only get them in the big cities. You have like now New York and Philly and Boston and L.A. and Vegas. So.
Well, Maine, Maine is a great place to visit, a great vacation spot. Like January, February, it's awesome to go there because there's absolutely hardly any snow.
Yeah, and it's Maine is the number one place for Lyme disease, so that's always
oh nice.
That's good to the Lyme disease state. That's good to be known. I'm going to the Lyme disease state. Oh, you're going to Maine? Yeah.
Oh my God. There was a reason Stephen King wrote a lot about it.
Yeah. Well, we actually live. We actually live like a block and a half away from his house.
Oh, wow!
No kidding. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I have not met Mr. King yet. So
it's a pretty legendary author to live so close by. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But if you ask me, what's my favorite book of his? I'd have to sadly say I haven't read any of his work. So.
Okay.
Really? I've seen the movies mostly. Yeah, my sister's a fiend for his books, but mostly my experience with him is the movies based on his books. So.
Yeah.
I think I made it halfway through The Stand. That was about the experience.
Well, I read The Stand because I liked the miniseries, but Yeah. And I've been to the hotel where he wrote The Shining when I lived in Colorado. So.
Oh wow.
That was pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah, there was the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park. He and his wife were stranded there on a skiing trip, and there's a creepy old hotel that is purportedly haunted, and so he basically set that whole thing, kind of came up with it in a weekend. And
they're supposed to do a sequel.
Cool.
They're doing a sequel about his son. Jack Nicholson's character's son. Supposedly that's supposed to be coming out.
Danny Torrance, and that guy's like our age, so.
For me, it'll always be it. It was a good book. And a good movie.
I never read
like the newest one the newest movie is very good.
Yeah,
There's supposed to be a part 2 on that one.
Oh, it?
Oh yes.
Yeah, there is going to be part 2.
Mm-hmm. Where they're now grown up.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like 2 years ago, I got to meet. Lie. Yeah, 2 years ago, I got to meet Stan Lee at a Comic-Con. That was big.
Oh wow.
Oh,
that was very big. I said, I actually got to take a picture with him and an autograph. That was really big. I said,
pretty cool because the guy's 90-something now.
Yes, and still going strong, still with the jokes and everything. I couldn't believe it when this guy was like, was talking and everything, and it was like, it was so youthful. It was insane. And they said, I didn't even say a word. I was so nervous.
Oh, yeah.
He's had some weird-ass press lately, too. Someone pointed a gun at him, and some people are coming out.
Really?
Yeah, saying
I hadn't heard that.
all the sexual abuse claims that are coming out. Some chick came out on that about him, it was like nurses or something, housemaids, something like that.
Oh, never heard that.
Yeah, well, he does call women creatures, like that's the old. That's his old.
Yeah, but we
heard him on a panel, and he kept calling his host this beautiful creature and this beautiful creature. I think he must have repeated it like 1,000 times. But I guess that's his age. That's not that it's forgivable, but that's that's his code. That's how he was born. That's his era, I guess.
Different era. I was just gonna say. He used to call women dames and broads. And
dames, broads, yep, chicks, everything. Yeah. Don't do that now, heaven forbid.
No, Jesus Christ.
That's crazy. It's like, you can't relax anymore. It's like you got to measure your words now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if that'll change sci-fi, the way sci-fi is produced. I wonder.
Well, that's a good thing about sci-fi and stuff like that. They can kind of take, issues and kind of bend them so they're not, point blank in your face, I guess.
Exactly. Yep. Like the old Star Trek did.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, maybe that's something Phil can speak to. When you're writing, do you have to? I guess have to kind of use some, restraint the way you write if you're going to be working with actresses. I mean, just because of the not because of anything we're doing wrong, but because of the culture out there. Everything that's kind of going on in the film and entertainment industry. I mean, is that something you have to kind of keep in the back of your mind when you're writing, or?
No, not really. I mean,
not really?
There's so many actresses out there. If you write something that's objectionable to one actress, I'm sure you could find another actress that will. You want to try and keep your cast comfortable on the set.
Yeah.
You want to try and run a fun set for the most part.
It makes it more enjoyable for everyone, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, and as far as like the sexual harassment stuff goes, anyone that exhibits that kind of behavior has some problems.
Yeah, probably not going to be on set very long.
I wouldn't tolerate that kind of behavior because it's not needed. It's really unnecessary. So, what's your motivation behind making a stupid comment? Trying to make people feel uncomfortable.
Right. Yeah.
If you like somebody, let's say you're a crew member and you like this actress, there's probably nothing you can do or say that's going to make her fall instantly in love with you.
Right.
So, saying something that's going to make her feel uncomfortable is not going to help you either. And if that's your mindset, you got problems.
Right.
So, it's just, just kind of keep everything professional. And if they have a personal issue or something, and they want to talk to you about it, that's fine. You can try and be a counselor, but for the most part, it's just let's get the shot, let's get the hell out of here.
Right. Just a different world we live in, I guess now, where everybody kind of gets triggered by something, and so I didn't know if that was a consideration during the creative process or not. Not really. It sounds like so.
No, again, you can sit there and write whatever you want, and if, let's say, your project gets picked up and you're not directing it, someone else is directing it, there's going to be changes made. So,
yeah, fair point.
Everybody has their creative input. Hopefully, they are as creative or more creative than you are. I've had people give me suggestions about changing a script that didn't make any sense whatsoever. And it's just like, yes, thank you for your input. Click. Don't ever call me.
Goodbye. Don't ever call again. I got you.
All right. So we go up. I guess we can close her up. And unless you get any other questions there, Jeffrey?
Nothing. I can.
No, we're good. We're good.
You're a good Fabian. Okay. Fabian's working on his.
Blast from the past. This is a blast from the past. Absolutely. I tell you, it was nice hearing from you guys.
Yeah, it's fantastic catching up with you. Thank you, Phil, for taking the time. I enjoyed talking to you. And
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Phil, you got anything else anything you working on? Anything you want to plug? Anything? I think Fabian's working on a 6-pack, but what are you working on?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Do you have a camera in my house? Or what's going on?
Go ahead, Phil. The floor is yours.
What's that?
I was talking to, I don't even know who answered. I was just going to open the floor to Phil, see if he had any final thoughts, anything he's working on, anything he wants to plug, any accolades he wants to give to us, anything he wants to say.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on and letting me
Thank
you. Just talk about my views. I mean, sometimes, I say things and people don't hear me. And then, like, one of the things I always hear, which does me no good whatsoever, was, Phil, I should have listened to you. So, I don't know, hopefully someone will listen to me and think, okay, now I have focus and direction and I can go forward because I was at a standstill. And I'm always willing to kind of help people out and try and I think every idea is doable. But it may change from the original idea. I mean, if you're writing a novel, that's fine. You can do that. If you're writing haiku, you can keep it the way it is. But when it comes to a screenplay, there's a lot more to consider than yourself. And if the changes suggested make sense and enhance the project for the better, great. If suggested change, don't be so desperate to compromise the message of what you originally intended. So if somebody wants to make changes that you feel you just can't live with, just walk away. There's plenty of opportunities to do things closer than what you originally wanted than completely compromising and changing it so that you can't live with it.
Here.
Oh, wow. That's good. Yeah. That's good. That's almost something that M. Night Shyamalan said when Weinstein, Harvey Weinstein, the guy that's in big trouble, wanted to change his script, and he was like adamant about not changing it. He was going crazy. He even cried to I think he went to the main actress who had like a lot of power or something, and she went to him and said, listen, this is the way he wants to do it. Why are you changing it? And he actually stood with his idea, and it worked out. He was on a Howard Stern interview, and he said that story that you just described right now. And then Night Shyamalan was like, no, this is the way it is. I don't want to change. This is how I feel it must be done. And they did it his way, and it worked out. It was called The Sixth Sense.
Good movie.
Because he kept to his guns, and he didn't want anything changed. Harvey Weinstein wanted to do this, that, and this, and he said, no, I don't want it changed, and that's what he did.
Well, there's a difference between being stubborn and hurting yourself, and then being open. So if you're open and the suggestions make sense, fine, that's great. But if they don't make sense, then yeah, you kind of have to stick to your guns. But the problem with M. Night is, and I don't feel that he's a bad director or anything like that, but he does get a lot of bad press from some of his films. And maybe there are times when M. Night needs to be a little bit more open to suggestions.
Yes.
Because everybody has some good ideas, and they should be listened to. I mean, I was on this one set. It was a film about breast cancer, and it was written by this woman, and she was doing it with her own money, and she was directing it, and there were things that were lacking in the script, and we tried to bring some suggestions that we thought were one, logical, two, that would enhance the story. But she was adamant about not changing anything, and unfortunately, her project did not turn out to be a successful venture. So there's a time when, yes, stick to your guns, stick to your principles, stick to your passion, but be open. And if something does work and something does enhance what you have originally, there's no attack on your pride of accepting it. I didn't think of that, so I'm not putting it in. Nah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Weinstein's going to be telling anyone to do anything.
Oh no, he's gone
anytime soon.
No. He's in New York. He's in I think an ankle bracelet in New York City.
Oh really?
Oh yeah. He's not going anywhere soon.
Yeah. All right, guys. Let's end it on Weinstein, I guess. I don't know if that's a good way to end it or not, but life is what it is, I guess.
Oh yeah.
All right, Phil. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. And
Thanks, Phil, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
As far as let me just throw this out there. I never really looked at it that way. Like I said, I just I want to write and throw it at someone and go make it. But I know it doesn't work that way. So I will take that as food for thought. And Fabian, hey, thanks for chiming in, brother.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Let's
Thank
catch
you
up
for
again
having
soon.
me. All right, we'll talk soon.
That's it, guys. Go do whatever it is you guys do.
All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right,
enjoy your weekend. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.